Hi, welcome. In this video, we're going to work on Program 5. Let's take a look at the instructions. Alrighty, so for Program 5, so Program 5 is going to be adding some features to the gas program, but this is a smaller program, so we're not going to implement all the features. We're just going to implement a menu. And then you're going to, after you implement the menu, you're going to just put a printf for each one of these menu options. The G is to view the gas prices, P is to purchase gas, B to view your account balance, U to add money to your account. So we're going to make the full implementation in a later assignment, but right now we're going to just work on implementing the menu. We have to use 3 functions for this program. A greeting function, which we always like to welcome the user with a nice greeting. Then we're going to have a function that called view and get the selection. This function is going to present these menu options, ask the user to enter their menu option, and the return type is character, so it will return that menu option. And then we have a function called process selection, and this function will take that selection, make its own copy of that selection, and then it's going to display a message for each one of those. And then in a future assignment, we will implement all of the menu features. But right now, we're just going to display a message for each feature. So let's take a look at the sample output. We have our welcome. Your welcome should be much nicer than mine. I just put a very simple welcome. Then we're going to display all these options, have the user enter their selection, and then they selected G, so we print the message, here you will display the gas prices. If they select P, we display a message, here you will make a purchase. If they select B, you display the message, here you will display the account balance. And if they select U, here is where you will add money to your account. Like I said, we're not going to implement those because this is just a smaller program where we're going to just get started implementing the menu. If they select something that is not valid, you tell them it's not valid. And if they select Q, then you're going to quit. All right, so it's time to get started. So I'm going to launch Visual Studio here and create my empty project. This will be an empty project for Program 5. So I'm going to call this COP2220 Program 5 Spring 2021. I make all new assignments every semester. I'll put this on my desktop. All right, create. The source code I think should be called last name prog 5. So now I will project, add new item, name my source code, Sorgente _ prog 5.c. So I've created my project, and now I'm going to take the template that is on Canvas and copy and paste it into my project. So I always like to download this. Don't copy and paste it right off of Canvas. Download it, open it with Notepad, and copy and paste it into your project. So of course, if you want to try and do this from scratch, you don't have to use the template, but I do suggest that even if you try it by scratch, I do suggest that you take a look at the template to understand what I'm asking for. Do not change the functions. We have a greeting function, a view and get selection function, and a process selection function. If you want to add additional functions, you certainly can do that, but you don't really need to. All right, so here are our functions. Let's start doing our function definitions. So the first one is the greeting function, where we're going to welcome the user. Of course, I would like you to make a better welcome than this, but you don't have to watch me type. So let's test it and see what happens. All right, so I have an error. All right, so this variable called choice in main, I'm changing this variable to lowercase and I don't have any value for it. So just to make it compile, I'm going to initialize it to the letter Q. So, or I can initialize it to any letter. I just decided I'm going to initialize it to because I just want to test my greeting function right now. I also have some warnings. I have a warning that view and get selection must return a value. So if I scroll down here to my view and get selection, it must return a value. So I'm going to do char letter equals Q. This is just to get rid of the warning for now, but later I will implement that function. All right, so now I don't think I have any more errors, so it's nice to have error-free code. So I'm going to test it, and it prints welcome. So if I take a look at my greeting function, I am printing the word welcome. Now let's implement our view and get selection function. So what this function is actually going to declare a character, and then it's going to print all of the menu options. So if you remember the menu options are on the assignment, which I guess I closed it. So the menu options here. So you're going to put a bunch of printfs, G to view your gas prices, P to purchase, B to view your account, etc. So I'm just going to put printf, enter G for the gas prices. All right, so these single quotes are not required. You can just put the letter G here. So they're just there to make it separate the G. And I need a semicolon here, and then I need a scanf. Remember to put the space, %C. So basically what this function does is it displays all the options, asks the user, declares a character, displays all the options. So you're going to have to add the rest of those options, scans in the option, and then returns it. So that's a function definition for view and get selection. And what I want to do now is test this function by calling it. So this is the name of the function. So here, I want to view and get the selection. All right, so I view and get the selection. All function calls have parentheses and a semicolon. I can see here that this function does not take any arguments. However, I know that this function returns a character, so I'm going to have to return that character and have a character ready to be prepared to capture what's being returned by the function. And so that would be in the form of an assignment statement. When I have a function that has a void return type, you just call it without any assignment statement. If I have a function that has a return type other than void, the function should be called in the form of an assignment statement where whatever is returned from this function will then be assigned to this character. Then I'm using the toLower function to change the character. I'm passing the character that the user enters, and I'm using the toLower function to change that character to lowercase, because I only want to deal with a lowercase. Then I have a loop here that says if the user did not enter a Q, then I'm going to continue. If the user enters a Q, then I will not go into this loop. So now let's test it and see what happens. All right, so if I enter Q, it ends. But let's see what happens if I enter. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. I just want to run it. I enter G. Well, what's going on here? It's just sitting here. Well, I'll show you what's going on. So I get here, I view and I get the selection. That's the initialization for the loop. I change it to lowercase. The test says this letter does not equal Q. If the letter does not equal Q, I go inside the loop. Then I change it to lowercase. Then I test. Does it not equal Q? It's like saying, does G not equal Q? Well, of course, that's true. So it's just going to continue, 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 and never stop. That's called an infinite loop. So what I need to do is I need to get another selection. So I need to do the update. So I have initialization for my loop. By getting a selection from the user, you need to complete that function. Change it to lowercase. Make sure they did not enter Q. Then I have the update. Get the next selection from the user inside the loop and change it to lowercase. I just wanted to put here, I don't like there. All right, let's try it again. So here you would say enter G for the gas prices, enter P for the purchase, etc. You have to add all of that. Then I hit G, enter G, I hit E, I enter Y, I enter B, I enter Q. Q is going to make it quit. So that's working, and I feel confident that that's working. Then the last function, we're going to process selection. So it's going to make its own copy of the selection. You're going to pass it in there. And if it's G, you're going to print the message, you selected G. And then we'll put one more. We'll say else. If it is P, then you're going to say you selected P, and here you will make a purchase. You don't have to actually implement making a purchase. That will be done in a later program. And then you should have a last else. So you're going to test all of the letters, the Q, the P, the U, all of the ones that are in that menu. And then you should have a last else that says printf you selected. That is not a valid option. That is not a valid option. All right, so let's get started again. G, F, U. Oh, so what happened? I forgot to call the function. So I need to call this function. So the logic here is I get the choice, I make sure it's not a Q, and then I process it. So I need to call the process selection function. I will pass it the choice in main, and then I will test it. G, you enter G, F, that's not a valid. P, you in here you make a purchase. S, that's not valid. Q, quit. All right, so hopefully this helps you get started. I went kind of fast because I want you to work on it. I want you to work on it and then double check from what I'm doing. Not really do it like a tutorial along with me, because now we're at the point where this assignment should, you should be able to do this assignment on your own and just be able to use the video to double check.